Sticking with the PlayStation 1, next is the first Spyro the Dragon game. I've mentioned before about having a chipped PS1 and some pirated games, and this game was the first one I had back when we got it chipped. We got two other copied games at the same time, but I just cannot remember what they were at all. I think they were more from my dad, so probably a football game for one of them. As a kid, I got far but didn't beat it, and then a few months later I got Spyro 2 and basically didn't touch it again until I bought this legitimate copy when I was 18. I'll be doing both the original and the remaster in the Spyro Reignited trilogy. That wasn't the plan at first, since I recorded the original months before the remake was released, but I got it on the PS4 this last Christmas, so why not? So we're in the world of dragons, shocker, and we have some dragons being interviewed. This one guy's just talking about how there's peace in the 5 worlds and they got loads of treasure. When the interviewer asks about an old enemy of the dragons, Nasty Nark, another cutscene to call Nasty simple, not a threat, and ugly. Nasty Nark, watching this, takes understandable offence and casts a spell that traps all the dragons in crystal and turns all their gems into monsters. All dragons except Spyro, because he's too small. He then sets off to deal with it. We begin in the artisan's homeworld where I walk forward and right away free our first dragon, Nestor. He tells Spyro to free 10 dragons in this world to gain access to the next world from a balloonist. Also this.
What about Nasty Nork? I'm going after him.
I'm not a fan of Carlos Alazraki's Spyro. To be honest, until I watched the Let's Play of the game nearly a decade after I first played it, I completely forgotten about it. My memory had just swapped him out with Tom Kenny, who's acted from Spyro 2 onward. Once the dragon leaves, in the spot where their crystal was I can talk to this fairy to save, and to rewatch the conversation if I really wanted to. Has anyone ever done that once? I jump down off the side and pick up 4 red gems, which are worth 1 each. By that I free another dragon, Delbin. He explains Sparks, the dragonfly hovering around Spyro. He represents Spyro's health. He starts off gold, but when hit he turns blue, then green, then gone. If Spyro is hit with no sparks, he dies. Health can be restored by having sparks eat butterflies gained by killing fodder like sheep. Pick up 2 gems nearby and there is a Nork holding a bag of gems. I can charge into him or breathe fire on him, each knocks a gem out of his bag. I leave him for now and get the gems on the other side and on these platforms, including my first green gem, which is worth 2. Next to that are 2 Norks to kill for gems. All non-fodder enemies drop gems the first time you kill them. After that it's into the little hedge maze next to where I found Delbin. I get the gems inside, including one inside a chest and a blue gem worth 5 from an Nork. I also destroy this purple chest with eyes for a 1-up. I get up this little hill, jump and glide over to this platform for more gems. Near it is this building opposite the spot I started in. In here is a corridor with more chests and some gems strewn around. At the other end is Marco the balloonist, who reminds me that I need to free 10 dragons total to move on to the Peacekeeper's world. I return the way I came and go into this side area on the other side of the platform I glided to. More gems and another dragon, Argus. He tells me about Toasty, the boss of this world, and how I need to have visited one other level from this homeworld to open the giant dragon mouth to reach him. In the later worlds you can challenge their boss levels right away, but being the first and needing to ease the kids into the game, this one is an exception. To the right of where I started this world, I enter this tunnel, picking up the gems on the way. On the other end I free Tomas, who explains gliding. Jump button while in the air. I run around the backs of these towers picking up the gems and taking out the Nork here. I enter the middle tower and use this whirlwind to lift myself up to the top. I pick up the gems here and jump off to the side to get the gems on top of the smaller towers. Then there are 3 more gems in the corner of this section. Ride up the whirlwind again and jump off the right side for another chest. Finally I return to that first Nork and finish him off for the rest of the gems, getting all 100 and completing this level. The artisan's homeworld is very basic, but considering there was a good chance this was a lot of kids' first 3D game in this style, it needed to be to help get them used to how the game works. Now for the reignited version of this level. After I skip over Activision's license agreement for this 20-year-old game, I'm watching the opening again. While the dialogue has been re-recorded, the lines are at least 99% identical to the originals. The dragons all now have their own unique designs, and formerly nameless dragons in the cutscenes are now the actual ones we'll be freeing throughout the game, more on that in a bit. Most importantly, subtitles. Also, now instead of just shouting into an empty room just knowing that Lindar here is shit-talking him, he's actually watching the interview on TV surrounded by his motivational posters. They did a good job adding more character to him with the same dialogue, just with different voice direction and facial expressions. Now he looks genuinely hurt instead of just annoyed when he gets called ugly. I like it. As I said, all the dragons now have unique models, and since this is the artisan's world, they're mostly made to look like artists, sculptors, painters, musicians. Also, Spyro is now actually voiced by Tom Kenny in this game.
What about Nasty Nork? I'm going after him.
The last time he voiced Spyro was Enter the Dragonfly back in 2002, but he still sounds exactly the same, like he never left the role. Behind Nestor is this door that you can shake by charging it, but it never opens. There are theories that this was going to lead to a DLC level or something, like was added to the remake of Crash 3, but I don't know how true they are. The level geometry is exactly the same as the original, and it looks amazing here. I do however find it hard to decide between which I like the look of more. The original still has loads of charm, and there are some things in the remakes that didn't translate over to HD that well. mainly from the second and third games. Also, the 1-up chest has hands now, that's weird. Skill points were a thing from Spyro 2 and Spyro 3 that were retroactively added to this game in the remake. Here it's just gliding onto that platform. They're basically either random little tasks or doing something really well. As for other things to point out, Argus is eating a watermelon, not sure how that makes him an artist, and the Balloonists have voice acting now. Time for the first level. Jumping down from the platform we start on, and a little to the right is a portal leading to Stone Hill. During the loading screen we have our gems collected in the previous level added to our total before we land in the new level. I start in this big grassy area surrounded by large walls and pick up the gems right behind where I landed. There's Ghost to torch and 3 tunnels around the walls. I go in the left tunnel where I find a ring of gems and chests to smash through. This includes the first metal chests. Metal enemies and chests can only be destroyed from charging because obviously fire doesn't work on them. And in the middle of the room is Lindar. He explains the dragon platforms being used to saves. He's also the one who insulted Nasty in the intro according to the remake, so it's all his fault for being a judgmental asshole. I return to the starting area and pick up the last of the gems in it before taking the right tunnel into another open area surrounded by a wall. Here I pick up the gems just lying around while also dealing with more goats and these shepherds. The tower in the middle has a whirlwind leading me up to the second dragon, Gildas. He gives me gliding tips, just telling me that gliding at the top of my jump lets me glide further. From there I jump and glide onto the outer wall. There's some gems stretched far apart from each other around this and the first egg thief. These normally run away laughing at you and can take ages to hit, but I get him right away and save my first dragon egg. But don't worry, I can't get away with having something go that well, so I end up falling off the edge of the wall looking for more gems and drowning. When I reload, I climb onto this castle in the middle, clear out all the gems and jump off the other side to find the gems on the other side of the wall. To be honest, on repeated playthroughs looking for a few gems on this large wall does get a little old. But once again, first time playing a game like this for a lot of kids back then and they need to get used to it. This is the only level that does this too, so it's fine. Once that's done, I drop back into the first area and drop down the well in the middle. In here is a safe I can't open, and I free Gavin, who explains Sparks' colours and eating butterflies. I then finally take the middle option and enter the castle. I get the gems, take out the goat and rescue Astor, Stonehill's last dragon. He's the one being interviewed in the remake. He explains the level exits. They really threw me off playing the game right as a kid. You see, I just run to find the exit, consider the level beat and move on. Then I get stuck having to backtrack through every level since I wasn't able to get to the later worlds. Thing is, this wasn't my first collectathon. I'd played Super Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie before this and didn't have that issue. I think the problem was having those exits there. In Mario 64 you're ejected from the level after picking up a star, and in Banjo-Kazooie you just leave through the way you came when you were done. But having a specific level exit in here just took priority in my 7-year-old mind. The same thing happened on a smaller scale when I played the 2 sequels back then. Anyway, I jump down onto the sand beneath the exit for some more gems and a key. I then return to the well and unlock the safe for the final 10 gems, finally completing this level. Stone Hill is a fine first level. Not the most interesting, but helps new players get used to the game. Now for the reignited version. One thing to point out is that all the music was redone as well. You can choose between the arrangements and the original music though. I can't really decide what I like more since most tracks sound really close. Gotta say, I do love that bit with all the chests in a line. It just really appeals to that part of my brain that loves watching my numbers go up. Not much to say about the visual upgrade here. It looks great, but is about what you would expect if you looked at the original and said PS4 remake. There is a skill point added to this level. There's a flower hidden on the wall to burn to obtain it. If it looks like I'm finding stuff like that too easy, this isn't my first time playing the remake. I played it with Player 2 on the Xbox alternating levels, which is how we normally play Spyro. Finally, every level has a trophy or achievement to get in it. For Stone Hill, it's Sheep Kebab for flaming 10 sheep. Killing an enemy you already have the gem from will get you a crystal. Keep collecting them and they'll add up to an extra life. For the next level, I go back to the hedges to find the portal to Dark Hollow. As a kid, I felt unjustly proud of myself for finding it. It's not that well hidden. Right away there's a Nork with a metal shield, so I charge him. Also at the beginning is a safe. Take out some more and I run into a big Nork. Larger enemies can't be killed from charging and need to be flamed. I can also light these fires even though it does nothing. Here. Head down to the side where there's a large Nork who is also metal plated. Just wait for him to turn around and set his arse on fire. Head further down and do it again to find this room and rescue Oswin. He explains a sort of first person view with the triangle button. I pick up the key that's in here and the rest of the gems before heading back to the torches to climb the stairs. Take out some Norks, turn around and glide off to the other side for more gems and an extra life. Return and do the same on the other side for a single green gem. Climb back up once again and kill that big Nork, pick up all the gems around him and up the stairs, then return to the safe and get the gems inside. Glide over to the left, take out more Norks and free Alban. He just explains metal enemies to me. Finally, I head back up the stairs to free Darius, who explains large enemies. Dark Hollow is one of only 2 full levels in the original trilogy outside Homeworlds to have only 100 gems. It's a very short but fun one. As you can guess by the dragon's advice, its main purpose is to get you used to the different enemy types and new ways to defeat them. The reignited version is one of my favourite visual upgrades. While Stonehill kept to the painter and sculptor theme in its dragons, Dark Hollow goes for a more scholarly look, so now we have all these bookshelves dotted around. That look also applies to the dragons, like Alban having scrolls, Darius being sort of a poet or playwright, and the room Oswin is found in now being like a large library. This time I get the Light My Fire trophy for lighting those torches. The remake also adds in another gameplay mechanic from Spyro 2. Pressing 2 of the shoulder buttons makes sparks point in the direction of any gems I haven't picked up, which is helpful here since I missed one of the gems in Oswin's room. I didn't mind though, since it gave me an excuse to look at this level again. Through that tunnel near Stonehill that leads to the towers, and back up that whirlwind to find the portal to Town Square. First, get all the gems near where I land, climb the stairs, break the chests, and free Nils. He just tells me to go where I was already going and explains moving the camera. I glide over into the next area and take out some bulls. Up the stairs is a spring chest, hit it to shoot the gem into the air and catch it before it lands back in. These only appeared in the first game. I can see why, because they didn't really add anything. I glide on over to another platform and once again across this river to free Devlin. He repeats the gliding from the top of your jump advice in case you chose to do this level first. I take out the bullfighter Nark and the bull that was chasing him. I head up the stairs, picking up all the gems and taking out all the enemies until I make it to the exit. I'm not done yet though, and nearby I rescue Alvar. He explains the egg thieves to me. I head back a bit to the top of those stairs, get on this step and glide around the corner onto the outer wall. Up here there's an egg thief that I chase while picking up the gems along the way. I fall off at one point but get back up and take out the thief in seconds. All that's left now is going along the rest of the wall, smashing chests and getting the gems. At the end there's this metal propeller thing that takes a few fire breaths to get spinning before it breaks open and gives me my first yellow gem, worth 10. Around here is Thor, Town Square's last dragon. He just thanks me and leaves. I find I'm still missing 8 gems, which I find hidden away next to a tunnel exit on the outer wall. Town Square is an alright level. It's mainly for getting you used to gliding with all the big gaps, and the first instance where you have to glide and turn a corner to land somewhere you may not be able to see at first. The remade version is closer to Stonehills than Dark Hollows, being a more straightforward graphical upgrade without adding much. We have another sculptor dragon, but now Devlin and Alvar are chefs. Reaching us at my hidden area with the egg thief gets me the Leaf on the Wind trophy. Also, this was true in the original, if you charge rather than flame a bull they get stuck in the ground. Doing that to every bull gets you another skill point. Back in the homeworld, behind where I found Delbin is a waterfall and these platforms in a pond. If I jump and land on all 5 platforms I open up the wall to reveal the portal to Sunny Flight. Every world has a flight level. They consist of 4 groups of 8 objects with a flame or fly through. Each one is worth some gems, with bonus gems being given for getting all 32 in one run. You're also on a timer and each object destroyed adds 1 to 3 seconds to the timer. Sunny Flight is pretty easy. I start by going down and right into a cave and torching all 8 chests. From the exit I turn left and fly through the first 7 gates. I then turn around and start flaming all the planes flying in a circle. Things like the planes tend to be the hardest things to flame for me. Sometimes my depth perception is just off and my fires don't register even though it clearly looks like I hit them. With the last plane downed, I fly through the last gate and start flying along the train tracks. There are 4 trains each carrying 2 barrels. If you're flying against traffic then you'll get them all in no time. To be honest, the flight levels are my least favourite parts of the original trilogy. They tend to frustrate me more than anything else. Well, I get my 300 gems and move on. Not much to say about the remake here. There's the Barnstormer trophy for doing a loop around the arch, but apart from that there's nothing else to point out. Although I did manage to record one of the reasons I'm not so big on the flight levels by how easy it is to be knocked out of your flight so close to water and fail your run. All that's left in Artisans is to return to the Dragon Mouth and take on Toasty. Get the 2 gems right at the start and start taking on the shepherds and their dogs. At least one dog will get me every time. They actually need 2 flames to kill and I always get the first flame and one of them a little too late to stop them hitting me. Take them all out, head inside and deal with everything in there the same way. I also always forget that the shepherds can attack me themselves, get cocky after taking out their dogs and get at least 1 whack. And the dog kills me. I deal with them all next time, head out the back and save Nevin, the only dragon in this level. He hypes up Toasty far more than he deserves. First I head back and take a path out of the side to get more gems from a couple more dogs and the shepherd. Now it's time to take on Toasty, who also has a few dogs in his arena. Flame him once and he flees to the next, flame him twice to burn away his cloak and reveal that he's just a sheep on stilts. One of Nasty Nark's most devious henchmen, eh Nevin? Take out the last 3 dogs and give Toasty 1 more flame to finish him off and get rewarded with 15 gems. Then the wall lowers to the exit and the last gems. This is also the last proper level to have only 100 gems. This is a very short level and Toasty is an incredibly easy, if kind of endearing boss. Now for Reignited. Probably the biggest new detail here is the inside of the building having a load of paintings on the wall. Nevin's another painter by the way and looks smug as fuck. Toasty is also more obviously a costume in this version with the arms flapping in the wind and the head drooping backwards. There's also the burnt toast trophy for killing Toasty without being hit by him. Dumbass me misinterpreted it as doing the whole level without being hit, and it took much longer than it should have because I was leaving and retrying after getting hit by the dogs. That's everything done in the Artisan's world. Now I can revisit the balloonist to be taken to the Peacekeeper's world. As soon as I land, I'm finding my first dragon, Titan. He just tells me to collect more treasure. I exit the other side of the building into this battlefield where I take out some soldier Norks. Get the chests in front of the first portal I find and head further on to take out some more Norks. Some will hide in these tents, but you can just burn them down. There are 3 lots of Nork soldiers near tents, and by the second lot are a couple of spring chests, and I can save Magnus, who reminds me about healing sparks with butterflies. Behind him is Gosnold the balloonist, who requires 1,200 treasure to move to the next world. Next to Magnus's platform is a little cave to a portal with some gems in front of it. To the right of that is some more spring chests and more gems by the edge of this cliff. I destroy the chests behind the nearby portal and return to where the third set of tents was to use this cannon. I can push it from side to side to aim. Breathing fire onto it lets me fire at and destroy these 2 chained up chests. After picking up the gems, I then aim at this target and fire to create a platform. Using it, I get all the gems in front of the Night Flight portal, the ones on top of this platform in the lake, and go to this area off to the side where I pick up a safe key and free the last dragon here, Gunnar. He gives me generic encouragement. Finally, in this area, I take out an egg thief running around this tiny pond. Finally, I climb up onto this rock and glide over to a tunnel that takes me to a load of spring chests and the safe containing the final gems of the homeworld. Peacekeepers is fine, but just being a brown battlefield, it's my least favourite of the home levels. In fact, before I rebought this game, I could remember all the homeworlds except this one. Now for Reignited. First thing, I get the Artisan's Home trophy, boom, for taking the balloon to Peacekeepers for the first time. One thing to notice is that thanks to the game being far more detailed than on the PS1, loading times are quite a bit longer, especially when travelling to a new world. As you'd expect for a battlefield, the Peacekeepers' dragons are all designed to look like warriors. As for the look of the level itself, it's about what you'd expect. Not that much that could be added really without changing the theme of the level itself. There's a skill point for scaring 5 Norks into tents at once. Finally, I get the trophy Shoot the Moon for killing a Nork soldier with a cannon while it's mooning me. The first level I go to here is Dry Canyon, found by taking a left as soon as you exit the castle into the larger battlefield area. First things first, I torch the propeller thing for 10 gems. Right ahead we have Norks with shields and a load of chests, then split off to the left for even more chests and an egg thief. I've only been in here a minute and I already have 80 gems. That's because as you go further, each level has more gems. This one has 400. I continue on the path I was before, dealing with more spring chests. There's probably more in this level than any other, and free Conan, who is just a little further on. He just thanks me and leaves. From here I can stay on the bottom level or go up these stairs. I choose to stay on the bottom for now. I take out these vultures and the large Nork swinging one around. Now I head back and go up those stairs. Take out the Nork at the top and glide across to this little castle. In here there's more spring chests, a large Nork and 3 shield Norks before I come out the other side. There's a smaller castle here where I rescue Ivor inside. He's old and forgets what he was going to say. I then circle said castle and take out all the vultures and Norks surrounding it. I climb the stairs around the back to the roof and get all the gems up there. First glide over to where I entered from to get an extra life and just 3 gems, then climb back up. Glide across the gap and set this firework off to get the gems inside. Don't stand too close or you will be knocked back. Climb the stairs, smash the chest and set off another box of fireworks, then glide all the way over to this platform over a bottomless pit. I can destroy the chests and the propellers, but I don't have the key to the safe yet. Once I've picked up everything I can, I backtrack to the first area and continue on from where I left off. Knock out a Nork, climb some stairs and save Boris. He just tells me that you have to be good at gliding to beat this level. I keep going forward, taking out some more vultures and finding the first pink gem in the game, worth 25. I then cross this bridge to reach the level's exit. Around it are chests and Norks, and off to one side I can glide to get some gems from a propeller. I return to Boris's platform and go up the slope behind it to glide over to another little castle. I go up the tunnel inside, getting all the gems until I end up outside again. I then glide to the left around the corner to land on another platform and go up the slope to Pre Maximus, who compliments my gliding and hungers for vultures. Behind his platform is the key to that safe, getting me the last gems here. Dry Canyon's alright, but it's my least liked of the 3 main Peacekeepers levels. Having to climb up that castle stairs at least 3 times if you have everything memorised is at least slightly annoying. Like with the homeworld, the desert climate of Dry Canyon doesn't leave much room to add anything in Reignited other than just making it look better. Once again we have warrior dragons with their weapons. I like Ivor cradling his bomb. Boris just gets a rope though. I get the trophy Bird Brain simply for charging one of the vulture enemies. That tunnel to the other area manages to look nicer at least with the bits of blue ore along the walls. That's about it. Right in the middle of the area with the tents in the homeworld is the portal to Clifftown. I start off inside a building where I take out the enemy wearing metal and break the one chest inside, leave the building and go around the outside to get 2 gems on each side. I cross the little bridge and take out the large chef woman and the enemy near her. Breathing fire on their pods will also get you a gem. I run across to another corner and do the same before climbing onto this roof and getting the gems there. All I can do right now is get the chest behind another building and cross the next bridge. I run circles around the first building here to defeat an egg thief for my 5th dragon egg. Then right next to the building is the first dragon of this level, Halvar. Spyro asks him how to deal with metal enemies even though he's been doing it fine so far. After that I run around these buildings taking out more metal enemies before climbing one and gliding over to another for a chest. I then start climbing the large building with the bridges at the back, taking out the cooks and getting the gems from their pots, also making sure to drop down and get these 2 chests I missed along with the blue gems in the corner. Then dropping down once more when I say I missed 3 more green gems at the bottom. When I get back up into the other side, I go up the ramp and do the same on the next level. There's also another chained up chest here that I can't open myself. When I finally reach the top, I turn right, find the exit and pick up all the treasure surrounding it. I then go past the pots and save Enzo. He encourages me to glide over to that big area across the river I haven't explored yet. But first I glide on top of the roof closest to this large building. There I set off a firework that flies into that chained chest and destroys it. I can then glide further to the next roof and get 20 more gems from chests. I head back up the back building, picking up the gems I broke out, which gets me to 281. Now I can glide across the river. This is a big open area filled with vultures and gems dotted around. A bit like the outer wall in Stone Hill, but it's more densely packed with collectibles. And because it's mostly green gems on brown ground, they don't blend in so easily. Up here is the last dragon of Cliff Town, Marco. Isn't that the name of the first balloonist too? He advises me to use the newly spawned whirlwind that will lift me from the first area back up here. I can now start gliding to the gems on the higher roof in the first area, then use the whirlwind to get to the next. Then it's gliding to the back of the castle I started in. The gems there get me up to 383, just missing 17. I find 15 of them below where I find Marco, and the last 2 are behind the building in the first section. I like Cliff Town. It's like Dry Canyon in that it's basically a circle, but smaller, and that whirlwind at the end means faster backtracking for those last gliding bits. For the remake I can point out something I didn't in the original. The cooks will also sometimes whack the gunslinger enemies into charging at you. That was one of this game's big things that Mario 64, Crash and Banjo didn't have, the more complex enemy behaviour. Rather than following simplistic patterns, they showed more character and would even interact with other enemies like this attack I just pointed out. Once again we have more dragons with weapons like Halvar and his giant hammer. They also sound like surfers in this level for some reason. I also lose Sparks here, which gives me a chance to talk about it. Sparks is helpful for more than just your health. He'll also pick up nearby gems when you get in range rather than making you make contact yourself. When you lose him and you have a large group of gems to pick up, it can be a pain. Wanting your convenience with gem collecting back far outweighs the desire to not be killed by your next hit. Another minor complaint with the remake crops up here. In Spyro 2 you gain the hover ability by pressing triangle while gliding for a slight vertical boost before falling. It made gliding long distances less stressful, especially since you'll get plenty of moments in this game where it feels like you should get the glide but you just end up short of the ground and fall to your doom. Considering they brought over skill points and Sparks' gem radar from that game, it would have been nice to have the hover too. Last thing to bring up is the Birds of a Feather trophy for flaming every vulture in the level. In the cave next to the balloonist is where you find the portal to Ice Cavern. First thing I do is head forward and pick up the gems, then circle behind the starting point for the gems there. As I head into the level proper there's a big purple Nork that doesn't even try to fight back, followed by a smaller one throwing snowballs at me. Along this path is the first dragon, Ulrich. He re-explains large enemies to me. I head into the little building, making sure to grab that 10 gem on the window, and exit to take out all the chests and enemies here before heading into a bigger building. I take out the Nork and head to the other side of the room to rescue Todor. He tells me about large Norks in armour, but I can explain that myself. Once all the gems on the floor are picked up, I climb up to the second level and empty all the gems there. Then glide over to an exit that just leads to a few gems in a safe I don't have the key for. I drop down to Todor's platform and go through the exit to the left. Get the gems on the way down and actually meet a large armoured Nork. Thanks to the icy floor I can charge into them and knock them into the abyss to kill them. Apparently this time I was playing I forgot that and ignored Todor's advice, so I end up leaving him and moving forward. Once all the gems in here are picked up I free Andor. He thanks and leaves. Moving on once again, I leave and go right to get the gems, then go left and follow the path up, getting even more gems on the way. This leads to the exit and another dragon, Asher. He's another that just thanks me and leaves. I then climb the wall around this part just before him and reach a platform leading into a cave. This one's filled with large armoured Norks and I finally remember I can charge them off the edge. So I make a quick detour back to the one I skipped and kill him too. I return and go through the cave, killing Norks and getting treasure. The next part of the cave is slightly easier, having more flammable Norks and only one armoured one. There are also these posts with gems on top you just have to charge to get down. Past the armoured Nork is loads more treasure and the fifth and final dragon for the Ice Cavern, Ragnar. He compliments Spyro and says that while other dragons didn't think much of him, he always believed in Spyro. From there I drop through this hole into another building. This is where the whole next to the level exit leads to. As usual I take out the enemies and clear the room of its treasure. I then backtrack to the building I found Todor in to get the 2 gems from the lampposts. I then return to the safe and glide down to the platform with its key. I return once again to open the safe and get the last of the gems. Ice Cavern is my favourite Peacekeepers level. That it looks so much different than the others helps, but it's a nice level and they always tend to look nice helps as well. Fun fact, when I first rebought this game after a decade, I somehow missed this level completely. I beat the game and was confused as to why I didn't have 100%. I had to have found the portal because of the gems near it, but I guess 2 levels later and it being somewhat hidden compared to the others made it easy to forget. As you can guess, based on me liking how this level looked in the original, I really like the reignited version too. All the purplish glows help too. Ice levels and night levels tend to look better than other kinds, so combining the two and then making it look even better is obviously going to appeal to me. Nothing to say about the dragons, all still warriors with different weapons. Well, I can say that Todor's bug eyes bother me. Its trophy is Triathlon for defeating all 3 skiing Norks in the cave. The platform I created with the cannon earlier leads to the portal to Night Flight. This is a nice looking one as well, with the giant crystals and purple skies. I start by going through the 8 rings that are right at the beginning, then aiming for the 8 chests on top of the crystals. Right after the last chest I dive down and start on the gates, pretty straightforward. Finally I have to flame all these lanterns. Another simple flight as I get the last one with less than a second left. I said the giant crystals and purple skies look nice on the PS1, but on the PS4 this level looks amazing. One of the best upgrades in not just the first game, but in the entire Reignited trilogy. For some reason, even though I got it first try on PS1, it took a few tries on PS4. It did get me this nice shot of the inside of Spyro's head. The trophy is Hot Wings 1 for flaming all fairies holding up signs for me. By just flying straight ahead from the Night Flight portal, I find the portal to the boss level, Dr. Shemp. There's a couple chests next to where I land, and the return of a large cook smacking metal enemies towards me. You don't have to kill them, if you dodge they'll charge right off the cliff and die. That's pretty much the first half of this level, dealing with those and picking up the gems off to the side. Until I get to the other end behind this tower and ride a whirlwind up. I can glide over to this lone rock off to the left with a pink gem on top. First time I just fail, but I get it the second time. When I glide back I land on a platform that's just a little too high to jump to for some more gems and the safe key. Reaching that rock activated a whirlwind just in front of this door leading to the over area of this level. On the other side is the only dragon, Trondo. He gives me a not so subtle hint on defeating the boss. Right behind him is Dr. Shemp himself. His front is covered in metal, so I have to dodge his attacks and wait for him to turn around so I can set his arse on fire. He'll up in pain over to the next section and I just have to do the same. Do it a third time and he dies, leaving me 20 gems. Across the next bridge is some gems and the exit. I drop down behind it to open the safe, then glide down to another doorway for 2 chests and that final enemy I couldn't reach before for the last gem. Less gems than the other levels here and like Toasty, it's smaller than the others. Shemp itself is a similar boss to Toasty with the attack he retreats follow repeat pattern, but made slightly more challenging by the metal front. In Reignited this level looks nicer than the other deserts thanks to the pink sky and the eclipse in the background. I also fail at glide to the rock again, showing the need for that hover. Shemp himself is basically exactly how you'd imagine him with improved graphics. There's also a skill point for defeating him without him hitting you. Just him, you don't have to go through the entire level without taking damage. What's in the box is one of the easiest trophies in the game, you just have to open the safe near the exit. With all the Peacekeepers levels done and enough treasure collected, I can return to Gosnold and take the blue into the Magic Crafter's world. After the least interesting looking home world, it's nice to have some colour again. Soon after landing there's an egg thief, but I leave him for now and go right to free Cosmos. He welcomes me and tells me to keep doing what I've already been doing. Then I turn around and take out the thief for my 6th dragon egg. Get the 3 gems around the corner and go back to Cosmos' platform. I love charging these druids here, it's a little ow when you hit them. When I get the last few treasures in this room I keep going and I'm back outside. Around all the treasure there are these wizards raising the floor, I have to keep me away from them or just to block my progress. Moving left from the entrance gives me the portal to Alpine Ridge, and next to it I can go up a slope to the next level. Up there is another egg thief to take out for my 7th egg. Once I've picked up the gems on this level I can go down the other side to take out the wizard raising this wall and get the chest it was keeping from me. When I go back up I can go up another slope for another dragon, Xantor. He tells me about the supercharge. Whenever I see these glowing arrows going down a slope or ramp, I can charge down it to gain more speed and the power to destroy objects that would normally need a rocket. It gives me the speed to get past this wizard before he can raise a wall and kill him. I then use it to take out those wizards on the lower level. I head back into that tunnel and go further in to free Boldar in front of this portal. He introduces the concept of flight levels to me 3 worlds in. I leave the cave and am now on the opposite side of where I started this world. There's an almost indestructible chest here along with more wizards. I go down and at the other end is Tuco the Balloonist who says I have enough dragon eggs to move on to beast makers. There's 12 eggs total by the way and the rest of them are in this world. Yeah, I found it weird when I came back to this game and was reminded that one of the major collectibles just stops halfway through. And since I had 5 when I got here, more than half of them are in Magic Crafters. When I take the upper route I take out all the enemies, get the gems and find a key in this little tower. Now all that's left requires supercharging. First I charge through the tunnels and completely miss that chest. get it a second time and get that pink gem inside. I could supercharge and jump over to this safe, but I'll just glide from near this portal instead. Still missing 3 gems though. They turn out to be behind the crystal flight portal. Magic Crafters is probably my favourite of the home levels. The look of it stands out more than Artisans, Peacekeepers or the next world, and it's slightly more complex without being a pain to get around. Nice music too. Everything nice I said about the original Magic Crafters applies to the remake. Right away I can get the Coming Through trophy for charging those 4 druids in a row right behind Cosmos. Speaking of Cosmos, the dragons are all made to look like sorcerers or magicians, like with Cosmos' staff with the yellow turd on the end, Xantor's floating cards and Boldar's cauldron. Watching myself fail to catch the second thief reminds me of just how satisfying the sound effects are for Spyro's walking, and especially the charging in this version. It's just a nice sound. I also demonstrate using the supercharge to reach the safe, but I didn't have the key yet so it was a waste of time. I also die here, which gives me the chance to talk about my least favourite aspect of the remake. I already mentioned the load times. It's worse when you die, because instead of just loading back in, you have to watch Spyro fly along the screen and wait on this reigniting screen for a while. Once again, I understand why, but it doesn't make it not a pain. I also like the update to these wizards, very Final Fantasy Black Mage with those big yellow eyes. I already pointed out the Alpine Ridge portal before, so here it is. Right away I land in a few gems and these big things are very easy to flame thanks to their size. Take out them and the druids on the way to these stairs that another druid keeps flattening out. Just got to time the jumping right to get up there and take him out. Get all the gems and free Zane. He asks Spyro if he's afraid of the huge beast, and when Spyro tells him no, he leaves. Right behind the camera I can climb up onto this arch for more gems, then get to the edge of the cliff in front of Zane's platform and glide to the next. Another beast and a lot of gems here. Ahead there's a cave entrance being blocked and unblocked by another druid. Just have to time your glide right to get in there. I fail the first time but get it the second. Go through the short tunnel and glide to another platform. Once these gems are picked up I have to time another glide right to defeat another druid and rescue Eldred. Just a thanks. Keep moving up, taking out more druids and a couple of big beasts, making sure to get the gems along the way. During this there's a path off to the side into a cave with a couple more beasts to deal with. Once I've got everything in there it's one more beast and a druid before I'm saving Xander in front of the exit. More compliments. From there I can glide down to a cave entrance I couldn't reach earlier to rescue Kelvin. He reminds you that egg thieves aren't exclusive to the Magic Crafters world, but I've dealt with everyone outside it so it doesn't matter to me. There was a thief right behind him, so I follow the path he went, getting the gems and catching up to him where it loops around. I don't need to chase him long and just barely catch him with a flame for the 8th dragon egg. Outside the cave entrance is these 3 platforms all holding a box of rockets. Set them all off, making sure I'm not on the same platform as one goes off or I'll be sent flying into the water below. Instead I fall into the water below, nudging against the edge of the platform, looking up my glide. I get the last gem after respawning. My 4th try anyway, because I guess I let it get to me and start gliding too early a couple more times. That's everything I can pick up on this side of the level. Now I have to return to the first area where I met Zane, climb onto the arch again and glide straight forward to another area with some more druids and a wizard. Then inside the building is even more wizards to take out. After killing the druid, all that's left is to climb this disappearing set of stairs being manipulated by 3 more druids. Look at the close jump here. After the druids are killed there's a propeller chest for a yellow gem, getting all 500 and completing this level. This level's good, but my least liked of the main 3 Magic Crafters levels. The reignited version goes for making this level slightly more winter themed. There's obvious snow in the background and on the mountains, and there's a slow snowfall that I didn't notice while playing, but I appreciate watching it back. Of course the magic theme with the dragons is continued. It was always impressive that they went and made a unique design for every dragon, but especially so with the ones that just thank you and leave in seconds. They definitely have been forgiven for just making the palette swaps of others, but they didn't. Although I do wonder if anyone modelling a certain dragon got salty if theirs was just one of the thank you for releasing me dragons. I would be. As for the trophy, pops at the tops is for setting off all 3 of those rockets. Next level is High Caves, up the supercharge ramp. I start off pointed at a cave, but I know better. Instead I go left and start dealing with the wizards and these druids throwing out little tornadoes. I get cocky though and lose all my health and die from those tornadoes. Instead I decide not to know better and go in the cave, where these metal spiders are that can't also be charged. I quickly run from raised platform to the next, trying to avoid damage, but failing. I get most gems and make it out the other side, but lose sparks on the way. Right outside the exit is Ajax, the first dragon. He hints at using the supercharge to deal with the spiders. That's my 40th dragon, half of them in fact. I get sparks back, get the 2 yellow gems from the spring chest and head up this supercharge ramp. I charge into the cave and take out one of the spiders. Then rather than leaving through the exit again, I take a left and climb up some stairs. Taking out this one druid here opens a path further just as a spider catches up to me and bites my ass. Another exit closes as I get close to it, so I turn around and take out the other druid. The exit simply leads to this fairy. When approached, she kisses Spyro, turning him red and giving him the super flame for a limited time. The Super Flame can also destroy metal objects and enemies, making it much more useful for dealing with the spiders than the Supercharge. Despite that, I tried the Supercharge again, missing the closest spider again but barely managing to kill the one down at the entrance. One more Supercharge and all the spiders are gone. From Ajax's platform, I turn left and glide over to this platform. Walk along it and get all the gems, but that's all I can do there. Next I go right from Ajax's platform, past the Supercharge ramp and across this bridge into a building with 3 firework boxes. With those gems picked up, I head back out, get on the side of the bridge and glide to another building with more chests and gems inside that get me over half the gems in this level. I then glide to the opening to the left but mess it up. Thankfully for this level only, there's a group of fairies in this area ready to save you if you fall into a pit. I assume this is to help you practice Supercharge jumping without fear of game overs. Since they dropped me off at the top of the ramp, I Supercharge down and into the cave entrance directly across from the ramp. It's basically a spiral with some gems inside. When I get back I use the ramp again but jump into the cave entrance slightly to the left. In here is 4 chests with 55 gems between them and to the right the exit, with Cedric in front waiting to be freed. He tells me to combine the Supercharge with jumping. I already did this to get to him in the first place. Next to him is 35 more gems, meaning 90 are bunched this close together. I once again use the Supercharge to jump into that entrance I failed to reach before. In here is an egg thief and a tunnel with many treasures to chase him through. On the second lap I get him. One last place to Supercharge to, I have to jump from the right corner where I find even more gems and deal with another egg thief. Now I just have to deal with the area with the wizards and druids again. This time I hide off to the side in this obvious tornado dodging spot. This lets me get to the top and free Cyrus. He tells me to deal with the druids, specifically these two moving these platforms. They're easily dealt with. From the second platform I can glide to this building containing more gems. Only 13 left, which are on this roof I can glide to from near Cyrus's platform. I like this level more than Alpine Ridge. It might get a little repetitive supercharging off the same ramp so much, but it works well as practice for later levels. The remake looks how you'd expect, same with the dragons looking how you'd expect for a Magic Crafters level. The spiders are also simultaneously more cartoony and more threatening looking. Fuck spiders. Rather than simply turning red, Super Flame Spyro gets a cool new redesign. I like it. It also has a meter on screen like the sequels showing how long you have left. This also gets me the trophy Arachnophobe for killing all the spiders. Finally, there's a skill point for burning a hidden painting inside the building past the 2 druid platforms. For the next level, in the area with the balloon, I take the first left to find a portal leading to Wizard Peak. Right away I enter this building to deal with some wizards and icing orcs. Just following to the end of this building gets me over 50 gems. After that I'm crossing a tiny bridge into another building. More enemies and chests, and a little further in is the first dragon, Jarvis. He points out the supercharge ramp right behind him. Before doing any crazy supercharged stuff, I kill the enemies and break open the chests down in front. I then turn left down another supercharge ramp and do the same. There's a window here with a platform quite a distance away, but the supercharge alone won't get me there. I have to backtrack a little and run down 2 supercharge ramps in a row to build up extra speed and make the jump. I pick up all the treasure and hear taunting. Behind the platform is another egg thief that's no trouble at all. I glide back over to the main area and take out a load of enemies on my way to the second dragon, who I ignore for now and go into the cave behind him to clear out his treasures. But I need the supercharge to progress here, so then I free Hexus. Another generic thanks. I use another supercharge ramp to destroy this chained chest near Hexus's platform. Then 2 supercharges stack to go into that cave and make the jump to another platform. Get all the gems, including the ones hidden behind the wall, and glide across the next 2 platforms, also getting their gems. Now to pass Hexus's platform again and make my way up, defeating the enemies. On the second level I defeat the 12th and final egg thief before continuing. At the top I've broken 400 treasure and found the exit, with Lucas trapped next to it. He tells you about the hidden Sony flight all the way back in Artisans in case you missed it. Fun fact, my first revisiting when I rebought this game, I did in fact miss Sony Flight. I remembered the level vaguely but not jumping on those stones to open it. For the rest of the treasure I have to backtrack to the very beginning of the level and look off to the left to find a platform I can glide to. There are 2 paths going along the outsides of these mountains, ending with a whirlwind that puts me on a higher up path. I glide over to the roof of the first building and lap it for treasure before dropping down for some more. This path leads me back inside and lets me kill this wizard I couldn't reach earlier. Next I return and take the other path before realising I left 2 gems on that roof. I fail to glide to them and die. Since the last dragon platform was by the exit, I'm backtracking the entire way again. This does give me the chance to grab a jar I missed by the starting point though. I get those 2 gems and once again return to that other higher path, where I can glide down to another window. Down here is a wizard and 2 chests with the last gems of the level. Wizard Peak's my favourite main Magic Crafters level. It shares a similar look with it and the other 2 Magic Crafters levels, but I really like the blue colour scheme used in this one. Also the supercharged stuff manages to be fun without going overboard and getting frustrating. The remake keeps that colour scheme and adds these nice water reflections to the walls. Nothing much to say about the dragons here, still keeping the theme. Getting that egg thief hiding behind the wall on that lone platform gets me the Egg Hunt trophy. Also, when I get the last egg, I do get an all eggs found at the bottom of the screen. The original doesn't really acknowledge it. Sadly, that's all there is to say about this version. They did it right, that's all I could ask for. Back in the home world, and the portal to Crystal Flight is behind the platform where I freed Boldar. First things first, the 8 rings which lead me towards the gates. After the first 5, I break off to the left and start with the chests. I destroy 7 and reach another gate, flying through 2 more. I also take out a couple planes on my way to the last chest I missed. But when I try doing the rest of the planes and the last gate at the same time, I make too many mistakes and end up in the water, missing just 1 plane. For my second try, I do just the gates in order, then the chests, but I run out of time before destroying even 1 plane. This is the point where you can't just robotically focus on one object then move to the next, you have to mix things up now. For my third try, I go with a similar strategy to my first. It looks really messy, cause it is, but it gets the job done. This is an alright flight, not my favourite looking one though. Now the reignited version looks amazing, it at least makes up for how much I failed it in this playthrough. The sky's a better colour and anything to do with crystals in this remake always comes out looking good. Also look how close I got to failing the first time I cleared it thanks to missing the same plane twice. The trophy here is Hot Wings 2 for once again flaming the fairies holding up signs for me. Right by the Balloonist is the Magic Crafter's boss level, Blowhard. Right away I land in front of 3 chests and move forward, killing the wizards and picking up all the gems. In about a minute I already have over 100 treasure and meet Blowhard. He tries to make lightning strike me, but it just takes a single flame to get a gem from him and for him to escape through a newly opened door. I enter this cave and cross the platforms, taking out the druids messing with them. Halfway through this cave is this level's only dragon, Altair. He's old and senile. I have some more druids and platforms to deal with before I exit the cave on the other side. I turn left and smash a load of chests, getting myself over 300 gems before I turn and run into Blowhard again. He doesn't get a single attack out before I hit him this time. I follow him across a pit and chase him up this mountain while getting all the gems. One more hit finishes him off and I take his gems and the last one further on in front of the exit to complete the level. Boss levels are getting slightly more complex, but are also still pretty easy. Blowhard himself is probably the least memorable boss in the game to me though. Everything that can be said about the remade appearance of Blowhard I've already said about the homeworld, Alpine Ridge and High Caves. Blowhard himself looks pretty much the same and Altair has a crystal ball. There's a skill point for standing on one of the moving druid platforms for 10 uninterrupted seconds, and the trophy is simply Gatherer for 100%ing the level. With that we can leave Magic Crafters behind and move on to Beast Makers. As a kid I hated this entire world and found it harder than even the one following it. Not my favourite looking world either. Not far from the start is a pair of metal floors with Norks electrifying them. Just time it right when they stop to kill them without taking damage. Past the second metal floor is our first dragon, Bruno, who complains about the damage done to the swamp by Nasty Nork. There's 3 chests behind the portal next to him. The only way forward is across this giant log with rockets on them. As I'm jumping across these small islands, the main enemies are these boars. I go to the right and find another dragon, Cletus. He says hi and leaves as quick as he can. I circle the hut next to him and then get all the treasure inside. Also next to Cletus's platform is what looks like a well, but inside is another portal and some gems. I go back and take the other route, circling this giant tree for its treasure and making sure to glare at my nemesis. With the tree's treasure taken, I cross this bridge into the next area. There's a safe down here and some chests hidden between these 2 platforms. Said platforms also have Norks electrifying them. Same method as last time, but it's trickier because I have to factor in the time it takes to glide across while avoiding a shock. I get through without taking a hit though and reach the end of this level. Past the boss portal is Cray the Balloonist, who won't let me progress without freeing 50 dragons. I have 48 right now. You know all that backtracking I mentioned I had to do as a kid because of my cluelessness? Well, I'm gonna sound even stupider. I used to return to levels I'd already beaten 100% and constantly look around hoping to somehow brute force more collectibles into existence so I didn't have to do this world's levels. After getting the gems on the nearby pyramid, of which I'm always surprised at how few there are every time I replay this level, I glide off into this lone tree stump holding the safe key. I can then glide to another stump with some gems and then back to safety to open that safe. This completes the level. Beast Makers is nowhere near as bad as I remember it being as a kid. Still not my favourite though, although at least the green swamp water makes it look slightly more interesting than Peacekeepers. If only the rest of it wasn't all brown. Now that's more like it. Beast Makers isn't the absolute best looking reignited level, but I would say it had the biggest upgrade. This place looks great. Bruno's comment about it once being beautiful is actually believable now. Speaking of Bruno, the dragons here are redesigned to fit living in a swamp with nature. Well, I guess they all live in nature. More nature than most would be willing to put up with anyway. There are these glowing mushrooms I can burn. One is behind the Misty Bog portal, another behind the Wild Flight portal, a third behind the giant tree, the fourth at the bottom of the pyramid, and the last one at the back of the pyramid's second tier. Burning them all gets me the Mushroom Hunter trophy. Right by Bruno's platform is the entrance to Terrace Village. From the beginning we have these purple Norks with shock rods, and in this first area they're joined by Norks wearing cannons that fire electricity. I get the 59 gems in the first section before walking around the corner into another with the same enemies. Once that's cleared, I enter the house in the middle of these two sections for more gems. With that empty, I leave the way I came and go through the gate opposite to free our first dragon, Claude, who warns me about the electrified floor. But first I jump off to the right side, set off a rocket that will destroy a chain chest in this area and get the gems hidden away. Don't get cocky and think you can just kill the knock before you land on the floor. The electricity doesn't go away immediately. After doing well in the home world, I end up very quickly losing sparks here. Thankfully there's fodder nearby. Right after losing sparks again, I use my post-damage invincibility to run through the last floor and rescue Cyprin. He compliments Spyro's skill. Spyro just wants to leave this world behind. I then go back and finish off that last knock. I head down to the left from Cyprin, taking out more of the same two enemies and getting all the gems, including the ones around the corner. Now for climbing the terraces in front of Cyprin's platform. More electrified floors here. After the first, I drop down for a couple spring chests before running back around. The second one is nerve-wracking because it's pretty long and the knock powering it is all the way at the back. The one after is loads easier. I take the whirlwind up and glide to the platform on the left. This is connected to a room containing the exit and a lot of gems. I head back to the previous roof and glide to the platform directly in front. I get the yellow gem from the propeller and climb higher. From there I can glide on top of the terraces in the first electrified floor area. This gets me a lot of gems and leads me to 2 more rockets to destroy more chain chests with, allowing me to get all 400 gems. To be honest, I found this level a bit of a pain with all those floors. The fact that it shares basically the same visual design as the Beastmaker's home doesn't help. I don't care for this one. Like the home, the reignited version is a huge improvement in the visual department, although I do prefer the look of the home. I also consider the look of the enemies to be a large improvement. Dragons continue the homeworld's theme. I'd say the ones in the Beastmaker's level probably blend in together in my mind more than the other worlds. This level's trophy is Rocketeer for lighting all 3 rockets within a few seconds of each other. Best is do the 2 on the roof first and then drop down to the first one you tend to see. As for the floors, after the mess I made of it in the original, you'd think having a skill point that required me to reach the level exit without taking damage from the electrified floor would be a nightmare, but I actually get it on my first try. It just took a lot of caution. From the Terrace Village portal, just cross that log and 2 small islands for the Misty Bog portal. I'll always remember this level because its theme was used in the credits in all 3 PS1 games. First thing to do is walk behind the wall behind your starting point and take out the enemy and get the gems. When I go forward I meet these rabbit/tree/plant/mud-pile/ I don't fucking know, I just kill the abominations and move on. I cross the lake to fight something far more reasonable, giant blue frogs. I clear out the rest of this bit, getting eaten by one of them at one point, and then jump onto this giant tree stump to rescue Roscoe. He tells me to look out for the frogs. I jump onto the next stump and glide over to this little island to deal with a boar and a knock and get a few gems. With that done, I backtrack to the platform and glide across to a boardwalk. There's about 5 or 6 knocks lined up for a super satisfying charge combo, but I mess it up and ruin everything. I lost sparks going back to kill the ones I missed, and to be honest, I deserved that. Now I have to slowly inch Spyro along these tree stumps for fear of walking myself off. On the third one, I jump into this larger tree stump that leads underground. I then miss my charge on the first knock and get killed. Even on respawning, I screw up that charge and miss one. Rather than going back down the stump, I climb another set of stumps off to the side. I then glide across to another island and take out the knocks in front of me. I go up the stairs into this room with a shitload of knocks and attack frogs. Charging around aimlessly doesn't help and loses me sparks again. After clearing out the room, a couple more stairs and I free Damon, who proceeds to start up a story about his youth before Spyro cuts him off. I exit to the right and pick up all the gems on the roof. I don't even know what I was doing here or what I was trying to find gliding around before dying. Next time I just glide to safe land like a normal person. I jump back down that tree stump leading underground and take out all the enemies without dying this time. The back of this room leads into a bridge where I free Zeke for more generic thanks. Across the bridge is a large area filled with attack frogs, boars and knocks. I get killed by a boar as I'm about to charge a knock. Next time I get the rest of the gems and climb the stairs to the exit to free Bubba, who demands I destroy all the enemies with the voice of Clancy Brown slipping into his Uka Uka voice for a little bit.
Smash them, Spyro! Stamp them out and squish them and squash them!
I get the 2 gems behind the exit and then glide over to this wall and then to the broken wall of a nearby building that I can climb up like stairs. I get the gems on the roof and then glide over to another set of tree stumps, but fall in the water again and drown. Once again, Spyro 2's hover was a godsend. I get back next time but fail the last glide and drown again. Third time I get it, charge all the knocks on the boardwalk afterwards and climb up to this giant tree stump for the final gems of the level. I like Misty Bog more than Terrace Village. It's fine, but it's still a Beastmaker's level, and even with me being better at this game than when I was 7, I still wouldn't rank any of them that highly. The remake still has the same improvements that the others have had so far. These plant things are still confusing too. At least I charged that entire line of knocks right this time. This level's trophy is cage free for freeing this chicken from its cage on the island to the left of the knock line. Once again, the dragons are basically the same style. It fits and all, but it's never been an aesthetic I've cared for. Also worth mentioning is how I had stupid deaths in the same place each playthrough. Here I accidentally charged the side of this wall on the roof instead of gliding and made myself plummet into the water. Moving on, around the giant tree is the portal to the infamous treetops. This is the level that gave me the most trouble as a kid and on my revisit in a decade later. As I land, I'm shown a thief in green running away from me. I enter the tree and go through it, taking out all these weird things. I then glide over to the next tree where I see a safe and a thief in red run away. Up the stairs is the first dragon, Isaac, who lets me know about the extra height gained from jumping at the end of a supercharge ramp. I go down said ramp, but jump a little too early, meaning I have to break into a glide and can't destroy this chest. I leave it for now and clear out the inside of this tree. This is followed by another supercharge ramp that gets me stuck in a whirlwind and sent back the way I came. So next time I glide around it, landing near a lot of treasure and the level exit. This was all I could find as a kid. Right above me is a red thief, but I can't get to it here. So I make my way back out to the entrance of the tree I just jumped from, glide to another in the distance, climb the ramp to the top, jump out and die because there was nowhere to glide to from this spot. This brings me back to Isaac's platform. On my next try I time the jump right and destroy that chest with a supercharge. Once again I glide over to the other ramp, but this time I get on the whirlwind halfway up. This brings me back to the beginning. Rather than follow the tree to the exit again, I jump through this window to the left. It leads to yet another tunnel going through a tree. In here is a key to that safe. I go upstairs to the top of the tree, getting all this treasure, before gliding across to another tree top to rescue Lyle. He drops a hint about stacking superchargers. After picking up the gems on either side of the next ramp, I supercharge jump over to the next tree. I ignore Lyle's advice for now and stop to clear out the treasure here. Another supercharge ramp next to it leads to another tree, where I land by destroying another chained up chest. From here, my only option is to glide back to the platform with the exit. I return to the safe and open it, then return to Lyle's platform. After having a brain fart and launching myself to my death, I supercharge to the next tree, but keep going and jump to the next ramp. However, when I jump off of that, I throw myself over the next tree into another death. Next time I instead jump as high as I can and glide at the height of the jump, making it to the top of the tree with the level exit. Here I can get all the gems, but since the enemies respawned after my death, the thief that ran here before isn't there yet. So I head back to his start point and set him off again, but I don't head back to him just yet. I return to Lyle's platform and do the supercharging again, but on the second I jump off to the left to just barely miss the next ramp and die. Next time I make it. This is the ramp by Isaac's platform. I then jump left again and run all the way up the ramp. Keep jumping along the ramps and fly right over the tree with the exit to another death. Yeah, when me and player 2 are playing this, we always divvy up the levels and I make sure I don't play this level. Because of that, it had been 8 years since I'd last played it and had no memory of the correct order of things. So here I'm working it all out as if it was the first time again. Oh yeah, and I made the exact same mistake right after. The next time I remember the right order. On the second ramp I go up it, not down, and jump to another that leads me to a platform with more gems, the green thief, and this level's last dragon, Jed.
Yeah, well you could have found an easier spot to get stuck.
The thief is easy to kill and drops a pink gem. All that's left is to kill the red thief for another pink gem and I've finished the level. While it's my favourite looking at the Beastmaker's levels, Treetops was my least favourite level in the game by far. All those blind supercharged jumps were a pain in the ass. However, it's not so bad if you can remember the layout on a second playthrough, as I did in the reignited playthrough. Like the other Beastmaker's levels, it has a very nice visual upgrade. Not as big an improvement as the homeworld, but I still really like this one, mainly the sky since you'll probably notice it here more than the other Beastmaker's levels. In fact, while watching this back for the script, I'm spending more time staring at that sky than actually watching what I'm doing. Although sometimes history does repeat itself, I missed the first chest with a supercharge on my first try here too. This level's trophy is launch day for jumping off every supercharge ramp in the level. So yeah, when you know the layout already, doing all the supercharges can be fun, and I can't believe I'm saying this after my decade-long grudge, the level isn't that bad. Right, there, I never have to compliment Treetops again. Down the well near the Misty Bog portal is the portal to Wildflight. You know it's going well when I get caught on a wall right away and fail. This is the hardest flight level in my opinion, and fittingly enough for a Beastmaker's level, my least favourite. This time, you cannot just focus on one object at a time, you have to multitask. That isn't the problem though. My issue is that for some reason, this one is just far too easy to fail instantly. As seen when I just tried to turn and got caught on that wall. Not to mention, this is the one where I start having depth perception issues and I miss objects that I'm certain I saw myself flame, so I'm just going to skip ahead to my third and successful attempt. Right away I head down and take out a chest and a boat, then through the nearby tunnel taking out 2 more chests. Then head up and left towards another, taking out 2 more and head down for the 6th right after I leave. But then with the next 2 I miss one and keep missing the planes as I turn around, only getting 1 before I destroy the last chest. After that is circling the area again to take out the rest of the planes. I then return to the starting area for 2 more boats, turn and fly through the first gate, then go upstream for 2 more boats, a gate, 2 more boats, 2 more gates, the last boat and the rest of the gates. It's weird when I play this one. I tend to run out of time when I feel I've played perfectly. But it's situations like this one where I make mistakes I tend to have plenty of time. I don't get it. I also don't get why the water is pink in the remake, but whatever. This one I really don't have much to say about, but for some reason I did far worse than I did on the PS1. Trying a different strategy because I'd forgotten the first one I used didn't help, one that left me lost in forgetting the way to the rest of the boats I missed. It took far more than the 3 attempts the original did, but I did it and got the trophy I believe it is time for me to fly for beating it without touching the ground. It's easy in the sense that you only really have to just beat the level to get it, and you're doing that anyway, because in my experience landing on the ground is very uncommon here. But it's hard in the sense that you still have to beat it. Just before the blueness in the homeworld is the portal to the boss level, Metalhead. I head up the stairs into this castle, where the large enemies from treetops are kicking the smaller enemies from treetops but now metal plated down at me. Kind of like the cooks in Dr. Shemp. Well, they kick once and after that it's collecting the gems and killing them at my own pace. I cross the bridge where there's another enemy doing the same. Once again I clear out the nearby gems and take them out. Up the stairs to the left and I repeat it one more time. In the corner I go down a slope to free the only dragon, Sadiki, who tells me the strategy for fighting the boss. Metalhead himself is in the next room, while he's throwing enemies at me via these power poles keeping him powered. I can destroy them by charging into them when they're green. When they're red they'll damage you. Destroy them all and he'll run off to the next room. I follow, but first take the stairs on the left for some gems. I walk into the room for Metalhead's second phase and die in seconds when I just stroll up into a little power pole. So let's do it properly next time. This phase is basically identical to the second. I destroy all the poles and this time he keels over dead, leaving me the usual pile of gems as a reward. Through the door in the back is the exit surrounded by more gems. Next to it is a whirlwind taking me to a line of even more gems. Then through the window to the right for even more, but I'm still missing some. I go back to the entrance of Metalhead's second room and climb up the wall on the left, leaving me behind this waterfall. There's a couple spring chests and a safe I don't have the key for. I forget about that key nearly every time. Back to the first area and I glide down here through this broken gate. This room contains lots of chests and the safe key. There's also a whirlwind that takes me to a roof with more, and from there I can glide to another next to the entrance for even more gems. After that it's just opening the safe for the last of the gems. Metalhead is a fine level. There's definitely more going on in this one than in Toasty and Dr. Shemp. More than anything else though, I'm just glad to move on from Beastmakers. Well, after talking about the reignited version of course. Well, first thing, we can insert the same compliments I've been giving to the visuals of all the Beastmakers levels. I kinda wish the Peacekeepers levels could have such a large improvement, but I understand there isn't much to work with there. Metalhead's room was especially improved since the original was just kinda bland. He also uses his laser attack thing on screen, which he didn't when I played the original. There is a skill point in this level for defeating Metalhead without him damaging you once. Considering I find him the hardest boss in the game thanks to how the power poles changing colour so quickly can get you hit, I'm proud to say I did it on my first try. The trophy is Gems in the Rough, simply for collecting all the gems. With my least favourite world out of the way, I can now move on to the Dreamweaver's world. As I start, this place is filled by large enemies until a rainbow beam thing comes down and shrinks them. It also has another of my favourite death screams from an enemy. The entire world is made up of several islands floating in the air. The next island has a portal and a few gems. Be careful though, as even after enemies are shrunk, the rainbow can come back and unshrink them. With all the gems picked up, I get on this whirlwind and I'm taken to the next island. There are two large enemies here, the beam never shrinks, so instead I go through the side area to the right. In here I save Latif. He welcomes me to Dreamweavers and gives vague, expect the unexpected advice. I pick up all the gems I can and head back, crossing to the other side of the island while flying through 3 of those guys with the Great Death Scream. Head off to the right again, up the stairs and past the boss portal. At the end is Amos the Balloonist. I already had the 8,000 gems needed to reach the final world. As a kid I never made it past Dreamweavers for the same reasons I mentioned earlier. I come back the way I came and glide to the next island, collect all the gems and ride 3 whirlwinds to the middle island containing the cannon. Kill the enemy controlling it and now I can decide where it fires. I use it to shrink every enemy, including the 2 blocking that stairway. From there I glide towards the back for another dragon, Zikomo, who gives Spyro a single compliment. After that I glide to the island containing this castle. I get all the gems outside and inside. When I exit through the back there's another dragon. Mazzy tells me of the fools with clocks who cannot be killed, but attacking them sets off a timer. This one lowers a platform with a gem and an extra life. Then the whirlwinds take me back to the beginning. The only section left is the one up the stairs that was blocked by those 2 big guys. This leads me to the top levels where I have to attack 2 fools and climb across the 2 platforms they raise in time to glide to the next island. Up here by this portal is where I get the last of the gems. Dreamweavers is a fun level with a nice look, the first time you're playing it. Afterwards I find all the platforming a bit of the pain when I'm just trying to travel to the next portal. Remade Dreamweavers is fine, it's not a huge improvement visually like Beastmakers or still kind of bland like Peacekeepers, but it's good enough. Also, they changed the death screen. The dragons are kind of like monks, using the dream part to make them sort of spiritual, so we get some that are meditating, holding themselves up by their tails to give the illusion of floating. Either that or they're wearing sleeping caps, because dreams. The trophy here is Fool's Errand for flying through those 3 fools wearing the metal plates in a row. There's a tricky skill point here. It's hidden behind a wall. Which one? Well, this one sticks out for some reason. Inside there's this ball of light that rewards you with the skill point. On the second island from the start is the portal to Dark Passage. I've praised the level's skies in the remake a lot, but I would like to point out how nice this one is in the original. I get the gems at the start and enter the building, taking out the big dog with the fucked up mouth and hitting a fool. Fools in this level will turn into a light for a little when hit, which will shrink the dogs. But obviously I killed this one first. When I turn the corner into this outdoor bit, I can see what the dogs look like in light. Around the corner is a metal plated turtle thing that can only be killed while shrunk. After it is a whirlwind leading me up to Cassia. He gives me hints about the fools and their light in case you haven't figured it out yet. Behind him are these weird floating devil cupids. These dreamweavers, things are supposed to be weird I suppose. I just keep heading up the next few stairs, getting all the treasure and free the second dragon as easy for more generic thanks. I don't mind the amount of thank you for releasing me's. I can't imagine having to write 80 gameplay hints for a pretty simple game. Past him is more dogs, fools and turtles until I glide over a platform with a devil and a chain chest. I glide over to another tunnel but wait too long to charge and die. Even though I don't die next time, the turtle still gets a cheeky hit on me. Then when gliding to the next platform I get shot out of the air by a devil. And as usual I get it right the second time. This leads me to the exit and saving Bakari. He thinks Spyro will defeat Nasty Narc, that's all. Of course we're not done here yet with only 204 out of 500 gems. From around halfway up this room I glide over to a tunnel filled with gems. It and the enemy filled outside area it leads to get me another 50 plus treasure. And from there I can glide to another cave. You could see this from the beginning of the level but couldn't reach it from there. I charge through the dogs, pick up the gems and go into the cave entrance, charging between the turtles to hit the fool to shrink them and take them out. The floor outside that the whirlwind behind the fool takes me to has a few more dogs and a devil to deal with. Once I've picked up all its gems I enter another cave entrance for another dragon. Apara is pretty honest, refusing to help Spyro with Nasty because he doesn't want to be trapped in crystal again. Behind this platform I glide to another platform connected to a set of stairs, where I get killed by turtles yet again. Up the stairs there's a couple enemies but mostly gems. At the top I glide to another platform with some dogs and then to another one connected to a tunnel leading to this level's last dragon, Obasi. Another thank you for releasing me. From there I glide to yet another cave filled with gems, chests and enemies. This gets me to 90% of the level's total treasure. Then up the whirlwind is some stairs with even more. They lead me close to the level exit and a single rocket that when lit destroys that chest for the final gems. Despite my turtle trouble, I like this level. All the different tunnels make this level feel huger than it probably is, and more than a lot of others so far, makes you feel like you've covered a huge distance collecting all the gems and freeing the dragons. I may not have been quite as complimentary towards the home world, but the reignited version of Dark Passage looks fucking amazing. It's up there as one of the best looking remade levels. Bit of trivia. I first saw Player 2 playing this level on the Xbox One version of this game, and when we both freed Cassia, for the split second we see his silhouette before the rest of him loads in, we both had the same reaction. We both thought he was balancing on his gigantic ball sack before he appeared for real and we could see it was his tail. I dare you to try convincing me it doesn't resemble one. His face looks a little messed up too. The trophy here is Bad Doggies for taking out 3 dogs in their larger form. Just one more look at this level's sky before moving on. The next portal leading to Lofty Castle is behind Latif's platform in the side area of the large third island. There are a few gems dotted about the little island I start on and the whirlwind leading to a platform higher up. This level is filled with metal plated narcs floating on balloons. Of course the only way to kill them is to flame those balloons. From there I can glide along to another island with some more devils and a cage containing a fairy. When freed she'll hang out by this platform. On the smaller island that surrounds this one are 2 more caged fairies. I free the last one but I just nudge a narc's balloon as I burst it and fall to my death. They stay saved after respawning though and the 3 of them create a whirlwind, taking me to another island with the first dragon of this level. Mudada just says fairies are always on your side and leaves. I take out the 2 nearby devils before dropping down to take out more, pick up the gems on this lower level and save all 3 fairies. Their whirlwind puts me back onto the level I dropped from and I go to the other side, destroying 2 chests and gliding across 2 platforms. I could go right across more platforms but instead I choose left. I head to the end of the path taking out the winged fat things and the devil at the end. I follow the platform this building is on around to the left, passing by an entrance and going up the stairs. I pick up the gems and then go inside the building, breaking free a fairy right away. I follow the room to the other side to get all the gems before returning to the entrance and riding this whirlwind up. I glide from the floor it drops me off at and break free another fairy but miss the third and both narcs. Second time I get the first narc, third time I get the other narc and fairy. The whirlwind they create takes me up to a safe key and my second dragon, Useni. He lets me know that there will be supercharging in this level. I return to the last fork and start gliding across these small islands. At the other end is a slightly larger island where I can rescue Baruti. Thanks me for releasing him. Near him I break free a fairy and between the 2 whirlwinds next to the cage I take the right one. This lets me free another and take out a narc. The left whirlwind takes me to an island I can use to glide to the third fairy. Once I've got the gems I take the new whirlwind to another castle tower. In here I have to get the gems while avoiding getting shot by more devils before I can make my way to them and take them out. At the other side I can glide to another large island surrounded by smaller ones that have 3 fairies to break from cages and some floating knots with some whirlwinds to get around. Not much else to say when this is the 5th time saving a trio of fairies. The whirlwind they create takes me to the exit with 2 spring chests next to it, still missing 66 gems though. I return to the island with Mudada's platform and open the safe. Now for that supercharging Useni was talking about. Opposite from his platform is a doorway leading to a supercharge ramp. I jump off the other side, follow another path and jump again to reach a high place with some more gems and a rocket box with the last of them. Lofty Castle is a fine level, but I feel it gets a bit repetitive towards the end. One less fairy trio to save would have been an improvement I feel. Don't dislike it at all, but it's my least liked of the main Dreamweavers levels. Nice music though. The remake has a nice sky, that's about all I can say for this version of the level. Mudada has a doll, that's slightly entertaining. The trophy is all puffed up for charging this row of enemies here. There's also a skill point for using the supercharge and jumping once again when you reach the usual destination to destroy this hidden tree stump. Back in the home, on the final island with the castle, after going through the tunnel you will find the portal to Haunted Towers. There's a big suit of armour lying on the floor when I start and a wooden door to charge through. We get some returning enemies here, the wizards from Magic Crafters and the shield knocks with grenades from Peacekeepers. Some armour is also floating around and impossible to get past. The only option left is to head to the other side of the tower and save the fairy from an orc. The fairy will then give Spyro a super flame. Now I can destroy this tin soldier and the metal doors. This is only the second level to include the super flame and already the last. It's weird, like with the water and underground levels in Super Mario Bros, it always feels like there's more until you actually count them. From just these 3 small towers at the beginning, I already have over 100 gems. Off to the side in the middle tower is a whirlwind to the next area. Here I get all the gems I can while ignoring the soldiers for now until I cross a small bridge and rescue Kosoko. He hints me towards getting a super flame, even though you have to use a super flame to even reach him in the first place. From there I plough through some knocks and cross this bridge to a castle. After picking up the gems around the sides, I enter and get the super flame from another fairy. I use it to take out the armours, a metal door and a chain chest. Then with my second super flame I head to the first half of this island but fall off the bridge to my death. After I respawn it still takes a couple super flames to get them all. Now I can go through that doorway and up the ramp to a whirlwind that takes me to a flight of stairs leading to a supercharged ramp indoors. I charge through 2 metal doors and one out of another 2 in the next room. Before heading back to try again I start going through these wooden doors. First one I try leads to another super flame fairy that I can use to destroy the other door and the suit of armour behind it, along with the tin soldier behind the wooden door next to the fairy's room. Behind that armour is a huge amount of treasure too. The last wooden door has our second dragon hidden behind it. Lutalo tries to keep Spyro patient in regards to the eventual fight with Nasty. I use the super flame again to destroy a chain chest outside the first metal door I destroyed. I then pick it up once again and go through the second metal door I destroyed and up the stairs to take out all the soldiers up there. This also leads to the exit, but of course I'm not done yet. There's one more fairy in this corner for destroying the last suit of armour. This all gets me to 373 gems. Now for some supercharge fun. After the endless getting caught on the edges of these doorways, I supercharge through the first metal doorway I destroyed and jump to the left and run up the ramp leading to the whirlwind. I jump at the end but mess up and press charge again instead of glide, getting myself killed. The second time I make sure I glide and land on a new platform. The whirlwind here brings me up to a chain chest in front of another doorway. To the left is the last dragon for this level, Copano, who declares me a master of the supercharge and leaves as quick as he can after complimenting me. To the right there's another room with some gems to get across the floor. Don't drop through the floor in the room nearby or you'll have to supercharge back again. The tin soldiers up these stairs will start off inactive and slowly come to life as you climb. I accidentally set them off earlier than I should like an idiot and now they're kicking my head in. But you can leave the room to deactivate them and come back to try again. I get up the second time and take out the wizard animating them. Through the door here is a treasure trove and one more fairy that gives me super flame that lasts until I leave the level. I can use it to take out all the soldiers. This leaves me with just 46 treasure left to find, all of which are in the chest near Copano's platform. Haunted Towers is my favourite Dreamweavers level. Getting to use the super flame so much to cause all that destruction makes for a satisfying last normal level before the final world. The reignited version may not be the huge improvement that Dark Passage was, but it still looks pretty damn good. I like it more than Lofty Castle's remake. There's a skill point for gliding over to the castle with the second fairy and destroying this hidden hat. I discovered this before the recording watching Player 2 look for it on the Xbox One. I just had a feeling about that spot and I turned out to be right. Felt good. Trophy is scrap metal for destroying all tin soldiers. Up the stairs past the metal fools and past the clock fools is the portal to Icy Flight, the final flight level. Right away I'm flaming 2 lighthouses, a chest, another lighthouse, another chest behind it followed by a lighthouse right after. To the right for another chest, up for another lighthouse and turn right around and go down for one more followed by the chest behind it. Then turn right for the final 2 lighthouses. Go left and follow the train tracks destroying 2 barrels. When outside again take out the 3 propeller narcs and follow the tracks again. When outside take out 4 more barrels and sweep this area for the last of the narcs, but then nudge against the edge of the tracks and land in water. This is why I don't like flights. The second time I was so annoyed I missed most of the chests and just drowned myself. Third time I do most of the lighthouses, turn and do the chests including the ones I missed first time, then get the last lighthouse to follow the same strategy I was using before for the barrels and propellers. This time, thanks to the propellers moving vertically, I miss a couple times and run out of time just as I'm about to hit the last one. I get you next time though. This one isn't as annoying as Wild Flight, but fuck those narcs. The remake's Icy Flight is another upgrade that I adore. Its snow levels and nighttime levels in games that just always appeal to me. This time I end up getting nearly everything but somehow don't notice I missed a chest. I get the trophy Fly Like an Eagle for beating it without touching the ground. Just before the Balloonist you can find the Dreamweaver's boss portal, Jacques. We've got a lot of weird enemies with long arms here and some more fools that turn into clocks and raise platforms when hit. After the first one there's two paths and I take the right one. Take out these nightmare things on the platforms and get the gems before using another fool to get to the next level and do the same before going up again. Here there's a safe I can't open and a tunnel I go down. Down the stairs is a Dragon Revealer. His advice for the boss is don't get hit. Past him is Jacques, a weird jester thing on a spring throwing boxes at me. I have to follow him through the next section, dodging his boxes and flaming him when he stops on a box to make him move again. Eventually the chase leads to these platforms in the sky where I get a last hit on him for his gems. The whirlwind after leads to the exit with 3 pink gems. Yeah, this boss level is closer to a normal level than the other boss levels. The others were mostly linear, leading you to the boss but with a couple side paths. This one just hides the boss away in one section you can get to right away and has a normal level outside it. I wonder if maybe 2 levels got merged into one during development or something. Now to explore the rest. Once I leave this area I continue the path I was following before to take out the enemies and get the gems. I do mess up charging this enemy though and drop myself in a pit. Next time I get the one I missed and glide over to this little platform with 2 fools. I get the gems on the tiny platform behind them before jumping back to knock them both down. The 2 platforms I raise let me glide to a cave with 2 yellow gems and the key to the safe, which I open on the way back. I backtrack to the beginning and take the left path. Once the gems are collected I knock out both fools on this level to lower the platform on said path. When it rises I can glide over to another dragon. The only boss level with more than 1 dragon too. Unico is another simple Thank and Leave dragon. From here it's very straightforward. Hit a fool to create a platform, glide over to a whirlwind to be taken to more treasure, then glide even further for some more at the end. For the last bits of treasure, next to that fool is another small area. Jump on a whirlwind to be sent gliding over a group of nightmare beasts to take out. There's also some chests down here. I take out the last 2 and have beaten the level. Definitely an interesting one as I said. I like it. Aside from the nightmare beasts now wearing nightgowns, I don't have much to say about the remake's version. There's a skill point for taking out Jacques without him hitting you and the trophy is Jacques-tacular for taking out 4 nightmare beasts in a single glide. That's about it. All that's left now is for Amos to take me to the final world, referred to as Nasty's World in the Balloonist menu and the Narc Nexus everywhere else. When I land I turn right around to get all the gems behind me. I then rescue the dragon in the middle, Delbin. Spyro points out that he already rescued Delbin. He was one of the dragons I saved back in the Artisan's homeworld. Turns out he tried to take on Nasty and got crystallised again. I never realised which one he was and was always really confused until the reignited version. The only dragon whose name I ever remembered was Nestor, purely because he was the first. The world itself is just a circular platform with treasure lying around. Despite there being 4 heads here, only one is open with a portal. In this world you must reach the exit in one level to open up the portal to the next. I can't even collect all the gems right away as only 75 aren't inside those closed heads. Nothing much to say about the reignited version other than to reiterate how much easier it is to remember which dragon Delbin was. Wrong yaw in the subtitles there by the way. Well, the only option is Narc Cove. First thing to do after gliding over the gap is pick up the gems to the side and charge this barrel back into the Narc throwing it. Or you could just flame him. Definitely charge the next one though, then climb up onto the top. Flame the TNT barrel to destroy the chest next to it before gliding to the next part. Charging barrels into these big metal plated guys destroys their clothes. I glide over to this maze of crates to deal with the enemies inside. Then climb this ramp to collect the gems and re-rescue Latif from the Dreamweaver's home. He and Spyro brag over Spyro's progress. I get the last of the gems, including breaking another chest using this barrel. Then it's crossing the bridge inside. Just a metal Narc and I'm back outside, then gliding into another indoor area with 2 Narcs and some TNT. There's another chained up chest here, but don't try charging a TNT barrel into it. It hurts. I glide over to the next island, which is more of the same. Barrels and the enemies throwing them. I get to the top, plough through a row of chests and charge this barrel to break that chest open. That effort for less than 10 gems. I move on and I'm back indoors. Got a few spring chests and knocks to deal with, and when I'm back outside I'm saving Thomas from the Artisan's home. I knew about Delbin, but I never realised until the remake that returning dragons were in this level too. Keep moving forward, taking out all the Narcs just standing on barrels. I glide over the gap to the final area. I blow up 1 TNT barrel to take out the rest nearby and the Narcs on top of them. I drop down and in the centre is another barrel that respawns. I use it to take out the 2 Narcs and the chest next to them. I then go through one of the 3 tunnels. The first one has 2 Narcs at the end throwing barrels. I avoid them and find a safe I can't open after killing them. I go down the middle path containing only gems and the key so I can open the safe. Finally, the rightmost path, containing gems and barrels to knock enemies over the large gaps. Sadly, on the very last glide I jumped too early and got caught on the wall, leading to another death. I get over next time and take the whirlwind up to the final 10 gems and the exit. I feel that making these levels actually linear for the approach to the main villain works quite well and helps the final world stand out more than the aesthetics of it does. I had the same 2 comments that I've had for a few levels now for the reignited version of Narc Cove. 1. It looks basically how you'd expect. And 2. But that sky is nice though. And as I said earlier, the unique designs of each dragon makes it easier to notice the previous dragons have taken the fight nasty and got trapped again. This level has one of the harder trophies. I must reach the exit without killing a single rat. Rats being the fodder for this level, it means you can't recover health once. This is a level where it's really easy to get caught on one of the many barrel explosions, but I got it on my first try being extra cautious and got the Rat-tastic trophy. With the next head opened, I can get more gems and enter Twilight Harbour. They've even spelled harbour right for the PAL release, how considerate. Right away we have Narcs with machine guns. I enter this building and empty its first room for its gems, including taking out the grenade throwing Narc with a machete. I ride the whirlwind up to the exit and go around the corner for some sneakily hidden gems. I cross the bridge and drop down into the next building, empty that one and head back outside. I run along the next path taking out more gun Narcs, pass the chain chest and re-rescue Cosmos, last freed in the Magic Crafter's home. He's giving out the generic thanks this time. I continue along the path taking out more enemies and getting more gems until I enter another building. This place adds another 30 or so gems to my total before I leave through the other side. I cross the bridge and save Cletus from the Beastmaker's home. He tells me to look out for the enemies I am already looking out for. Instead of going into the building in front of him, I keep going right up this supercharge ramp, which I use to destroy the chest behind Cosmos' platform. On the way back across the bridge I hit this lever to raise the middle and use it to jump to the second level of the previous building. We have 2 Narcs and a load of gems here. Out the other side I can glide to another platform for 30 more gems. Now I can enter the building after Cletus and wipe out the Narcs inside before moving on to the next building and doing the same. When I leave I have a curved narrowish path to move along with more gunners in the way. Behind the last 2 is a tunnel leading to the platform containing the exit and the level's last gems. I like Twilight Harbour more than Narc Cove, mainly for not being overloaded with barrel barging. Oh, I'm still missing 4 gems. I missed 2 chests a few buildings ago. So really the big change of Reignited's version is the Narc's guns firing slime instead of weird slow moving triangular bullets. I don't really care, but I do think it fits the aesthetic of the game more. The trophy is gained by destroying 5 gears hidden throughout the level. I only found the first by the exit, then I had to backtrack my way through the level searching every corner for the rest. It is a pain, because if you die they all respawn and these linear levels weren't exactly designed with backtracking in mind, so it can get tedious. But getting them all gets you the what really grinds my gears trophy. With the next head open I can get the last of the Narc Nexus gems and finally confront Nasty Narc. Nasty stands on his little platform firing lasers at me while I run around this room picking up all the gems. On the right side there's a tunnel a thief in green runs down. I follow him picking up more gems on the way. Once I've done a full lap and picked up all the treasure, I chase him down and kill him for a key. The key gets used to open the locked door on the left of the arena. In here is another thief with more gems to collect as I chase him. I take this key to Nasty's platform to lower it. Nasty himself runs off during this and I have to give chase. Once again, I don't focus on Nasty here and instead pick up all the gems until we've done a lap of the area. For the next lap I keep as close to Nasty as I can until he stops at this spot where I can flame a pink gem out of him. He then runs through this newly opened door. I now have to chase him across a series of platforms that are slowly receding into the walls. On the way I brush against the edge of the same platform I do every time and fall to another death. No checkpoints here so I have to chase the thieves again. I make the jump the second time and I'm left with barely any platform left as I reach Nasty and get one more flame in to finish him off for 100 more gems. We then return to Stone Hill where the interview from the beginning is continued with Spyro. He brags about his victory over Nasty Narc but points out that there's still some treasure to find. We then get the credits overlooking all the previous levels. Nothing much new in the remake's version, there's the trophy Dragon and On for chasing Nasty through 5 laps, and the final skill point for defeating him without taking damage. This unlocks an art gallery I forget to look at. The ending also shows Spyro actually returning to the interview rather than just cutting to him already there. There's also more sheep abuse. Rather than have the camera sweep across the levels, the credits scroll normally with some concept art. Like this video, they also go on for an eternity. Once the credits are done, I'm dropped back off at the Narc Nexus, but now there's a new dragon in the middle. It's Magnus from the Peacekeeper's home. Somehow he got crystallised again after I beat Nasty. Spyro asks him about the final head. Magnus says that it leads to Nasty Narc's treasure haul, but it will only open if you've collected everything else in the game. And with him being the 80th and final dragon, I have 100%, so now I can enter Nasty's loot. I have over 2,000 gems to find here. I can also fly rather than glide. However, my flight range is limited to the highest point I started the glide from at that point. I start by running around the areas I have access to, picking up the many yellow and pink gems. There's a blue thief around here with a key. Taking him out lets me use that key to open a door to some stairs, letting me fly higher. The main area I can reach now is this large grassy one with more gems and another thief to get a key from. The next door is where the stairs from the last door lead to. This lets loose a thief in a plane. I ignore him for now and climb the stairs. After getting the gems, I fly to these roofs to set off a couple rockets to destroy some more chests. With all the gems I can get now, I start chasing that plane. Destroying it gets me another key, which leads me to another locked door and another plane to chase. The extra height also lets me set off the last 2 rockets for some more gems, getting me to 940 gems. I take out the other plane and open the next door. This room exists purely to add a little extra height to my flight. I can now land next to the exit and go through the door behind it. There's a corridor filled with pink gems leading to a room with a portrait of Nasty and a load of rocket crates that all drop piles of more pink gems. This gets me up to 2,000 gems and all 14,000 in the game. I can now jump into the exit. We now get another interview with Spyro where he's wearing sunglasses at night, being congratulated on his 120% and bragging in return. And while he's complimenting Nasty Nork on being a good adversary, the dragons start getting crystallised again, setting up a rematch that we don't see. We then see the crates again, showing different levels. When I return from the credits in the remake and talk to Magnus for that 100%, I'm awarded the I'm in the money trophy for opening Nasty's loot. The only thing I'd like to talk about in the level itself is Nasty's room. This is where he is in the opening rather than his boss arena like the original. You can see all his motivational posters, pictures of hearts around him and piles of fan mail. All of this suggesting that he has some confidence issues, making his lashing out for being called ugly more understandable. It's a minor thing for a character that originally didn't have much going for him, so I appreciate it. Better than what was fought for him in Hero's Tale. Getting all the gems here awards me the trophy Hoarder, also getting me the Platinum trophy, Nasty's Demise. Like Super Mario All-Stars, the Reignite Trilogy's separate games are not being added to the Conquered count, only the entire thing as one when all the games on it are done. That's about it for both versions of Spyro the Dragon. The original has a hidden Crash Bandicoot Warp demo, and the remake has a lot of cheats that mess with Spyro's colour, change his body shape, or add sunglasses. Well, do you remember back in the Toy Story 2 video in episode 3 I said I was very let down by a 3D platformer that we'll be seeing in a bonus episode? Well, it was not this one. Both versions of this game are great. A couple issues, mainly being fixed by adding the hover in later games, but it's still a great game itself. When it comes to playing in the future, I don't have any strong preference over the versions, so I'll probably just go with whichever console is set up at that moment. The original still holds up and the remake feels like a great alternative rather than an outright replacement. My favourite game we've done so far.